In a tent simulated pizzeria. The pizzeria we see underground on our way to the canon ending of Security Breach is actually intended to be the simulated pizzeria we build in FNAF 6. This was hinted at multiple times throughout the game, but it's most clear thanks to the design of the restaurants as well as, you know, the whole burn trap along with the other animatronics from FNAF 6. Among others somehow being down there as well. But some other hints I'll be referencing later on this list. But something like this was actually theorized about ages ago. However, those theories were more so thinking that the Pizzaplex was just an expanded version of the simulated pizzeria that ended up doing the best. But this way, it ends up working out that every single person who played Pizzeria Simulator has their pizzeria burnt down and then built on top of. So the fire, while not serving any purpose in the end because everyone really survived, kind of does serve a purpose to unite everyone, so now we feel like we're a part of the story since we designed a location in the game. It's pretty clever, actually. And at 9, unfinished. The game that we got actually was released unfinished for some reason, which explains all the glitches, but also the possibility that there is more going on here than we truly realize. See what I did there? Like how there's supposed to be a game in Chica's Bakery, however the game isn't playable unless you use a mod to gain access to it from the main menu, because there's actually no machine there. Other than that, you can't play it. But there are duffel bags that reveal that this game, along with Balloon Boy World and Monty's Gator Golf, have something odd going on with them, which to me seems like there's another ending or something that these were building to, or like perhaps glitching them all out would have done something else. But of course the game is unfinished, so we can't know for sure. As to when the game will be finished, unsure if it ever will be, actually, and the fact that it's unfinished could just be an excuse as to why it's so trashy. But it's currently unclear. We'll only know with time, unless someone from Steelwool actively says that it's not gonna happen. And at 8, security level 8. Now, the highest security level that you can get access to is level 8. This requires you to do every one of the like little security room mini games. However, with level 8 being the highest you can actually achieve, it begs the question, why are there doors with level 10 security? Because if it's actually impossible to achieve, what's the point of giving them a security level at all? I mean, there are doors that are actively locked and do not open at all. Why not just make the doors that you would have made level 10 just unopenable? Seems more efficient. Like, I can think of 2 explanations for this that make sense. Firstly, they could be saving these areas for potential DLC that would add 2 more security passes, since if you end up no-clipping past these doors with the level 10, there's nothing behind them at all. Like, it's just, there's nothing. The second idea would be because having impossible to achieve security clearance suggests that there are people who are able to gain access to these sections instead of just blocking off everywhere we can't go, which is understandable from a world building perspective. However, now it leaves us with questions like this. And at 7, power-ups. Apparently, there are multiple different power-ups you can get throughout this game. Aside from upgrades for the flashlight and Freddy, including power upgrades for him, there is a hoodie that you can collect from the staff toilet in Chica's Bakery that increases your stealth. There's a pair of running shoes that you can get from the beauty salon that increases your running speed, and the various Fizzy Faz cans actually somehow increase your stamina, which just seems fairly ridiculous, but also that's pretty cool. I guess that's why like the Fizzy Faz commercial sample text was actually in the game to tell you to drink Fizzy Faz. I didn't think that these would actually be able to help, and I don't know if you actually like need to actively drink it or if it does it automatically. I'm pretty sure it does it automatically, but hey, that's still pretty cool and something that I had no idea was in the game, so maybe you didn't either. And at 6, possessed Freddy. Now, the idea that Freddy is possessed is an idea that it's been floating around for a while, and some assume that the one possessing him would be Michael, which does make sense. However, there are also hints that maybe this isn't the case at all, and that instead, it's Henry Emily. Do I think that this is actually the case? No, but it's still fun to talk about. Starting off with the fire that he sets on the rooftop ending if you leave through the prize counter. This ending has Freddy set the prize counter on fire, then the 2 of you escape to the roof. Now, we know that out of the 3 fires in this series, Henry was the one who set at least one of them, but probably closer to 2. He was the one who sets the FNAF 6 pizzeria on fire, and the FNAF 3 fire was also most likely set by Henry. Since in Ultimate Custom Night Orville Elephant claims he tried to release you, he tried to release us, in which us is most likely a reference to the FNAF 3 fire and the missing children, since this is the one that you should not have killed talking through Orville, so us could be referring to the missing children that are supposed to be released with the happiest day mini game and then set on fire. So Freddy's first idea being to set fire to the place may not be a coincidence. There's also the idea that Henry was in the Pizzaplex when it burned down, since he said that he was nearby, although that can't really be confirmed. I don't know though, just a thought. Halfway through into number 5, Client 46. The mystery of security breaches Client 46 is still one that plagues us even after the game has been torn to shreds. There is no mention of a name or any other names with Client 46, and whoever it is doesn't speak. The client does appear to be younger though, given the tonal shift between the therapists when talking to Vanessa compared to Client 46, which could be the reason that the tapes with Vanessa were included, to show that each therapist approaches 46 with a softer, kinder touch, as well as kind of just explaining her history to us, as if they were talking to a younger individual, or a child if you were, perhaps that cries a lot. We know that 46 is most likely male, given that when therapist 4 asks 46 what they like to do, the first thing they ask about is sports. When being asked about encrypted communications, which seem manipulative in nature as well, the therapist says, quote, "Well, the texts say it looked to them like it was an attempt to manipulate you, or maybe to lure you somewhere." This is the same language used when educating kids about predators and online safety. So, could it be Gregory? I mean, my opinion, it seems like it, and if you want more of a breakdown on this theory, go check out the Is Gregory Client 46 theory on the channel. It's up in the iCard, whichever corner that is. In at 4, elevator music. The elevator music that plays when you're, well, in an elevator in Security Breach was definitely familiar the first time I heard it. However, it took me a while to realize that it was actually the music that plays during the final ending sections of FNAF 6. Like the part after Henry's speech and then Hand Unit says like, "Congratulations on surviving." Yeah, the music that plays behind that is the music playing in the elevator, which was already a hint about what's going on below the Pizzaplex even before we knew that that was an ending, which is freaking nuts. The foreshadowing and the references there are actually insane. I love that this was an Easter egg, and honestly, I made this list strictly so I could talk about this point. It's great. I love it. I don't really have anything else to say. I mean, the elevator music is the ending music from FNAF 6. That's it. That's the thing you missed. Or maybe you didn't. Getting close to the end in at number 3, Vanys Effect. Now, Client 46, or this kid, is known for breaking into the Pizzaplex, as we learn through the therapy CDs that you can find at the end of the game. The ones involving Client 46 are certainly intended to be Gregory, and every time he ends up getting caught on camera or by technicians or someone working there. Enough times to actually like bring it up to the therapist, who then brings it up with Gregory. And speaking of which, this is totally 100% breaking and entering, and he should be charged if he wasn't under 12, and actually could be proven. But despite a few witnesses, the camera shots never actually get him, probably due to Vanny, since the cameras are distorted when talking to something with bunny ears. I originally thought that this distortion would be Gregory being a robot, however it was pointed out to me in the comments of the Gregory's Client 46 video that the distortion is definitely due to Vanny, which only enhances the confusion as to why Gregory has this effect in his eyes when Vanny gets so close. And is it Afton's programming that does it, or is it something else with Vanny that does it? God, I hate this. Penultimately, in at number 2, Vanessa's ice cream. In the best ending, there are quite a few confusing moments. The most confusing one, for me at least, is the idea that Gregory would go get ice cream with Vanessa once she's done trying to kill him. Okay? Why would you do that? She's been trying to murder you for 6 hours! Some seem to think that it's because they're related, or representing the dead Afton kids, and thanks to MatPat, there is a little more evidence to the latter. The ice cream that Vanessa gets while on the hill is very reminiscent of the ice cream cone that lured Elizabeth into Baby's arm, or grabbing, or scooping range, however you want to say it, okay? The cone with the tall soft serve on top looks a lot like the cone with the tall soft serve that Baby presented to Elizabeth in order to lure her closer and then subsequently kill her. Is that evidence or just a coincidence? No idea whatsoever. I can't tell what's a coincidence and what's not anymore. Goddamn. And finally, into number 1, Freddy Popsicle. On the topic of hidden details in the best ending, Vanessa isn't the only one with a potentially symbolic dessert option in her murderous little hands. Again, thanks to MatPat for pointing this out, Gregory also has a popsicle, a Freddy Popsicle to be exact. And yes, I said murderous little hands because Gregory straight up kills Vanny in the Phaser Blast ending, so chill. It's like one of those SpongeBob popsicles that never looks right, but instead this time it's Freddy Fazbear. And the lighting makes it look very yellow in color, as if it was a reference to a certain yellow bear that could have had something to do with Crying Child's death. If this was meant to be Crying Child, this could be a good way of indicating that, but not only is it good, but it gets better. Gregory has taken a bite out of the head of the popsicle, which could also be a reference as to how he met his unfortunate fate. I think the only way that this could have been clearer and really have like stuck with us and like proved it was if it also started melting and had like tear streaks down his face made out of melted ice cream. Just saying, that would have been like 100% definite at that point. Nobody would have been able to deny it. It would be confirmed. And it's in Helpy. Yes, Helpy is actually in the Security Breach trailer, and I'm not kidding. I mean, like, the animatronic themselves wasn't there, but Happy's face was. During the shot of the kitchen in the very first trailer, the introduction of the Moon Man animatronic, we were too distracted to see Helpy's face on a barrel to the right of the screen. The barrel that has the text like torque toil, which I mean, like, it's probably just some form of oil, but I mean, like, I don't know like what the name is, but he's there and he's just a small character, okay? It's like there's like some fraction on it, maybe with some numbers, maybe percentage of oil, something like that, okay? Helpy's face though is still plastered on the side, and this will probably be his only appearance, unfortunately. I mean, I want to see him jumping into like the giant ball pit so that he doesn't get hurt again, although you'd probably miss knowing him. But this also confirms that the game has to take place at least after FNAF 6, which kind of ruins my taking place in 2021 theory, but... 8 and 9, more Foxies. During the first gameplay trailer from the February State of Play event from PlayStation, we got our first look at how the game would actually play. However, after many rewatches, I swear the trailer on PlayStation's channel has like 14.6 million views, and I think 14 million of them are from me. However, I noticed on like the 13th millionth watch that when Vanessa's walking past the player and we're like hiding in like the behind the curtains or whatever, there's an interesting scene in the background. This appears to be a reference to the Pirate Ride minigame from FNAF VR's DLC, since there's a pirate ship with what looks to be Captain Foxy. However, along with what I think is Captain Foxy, you can also see another character who's like swinging on a rope as if they're boarding them Pirates of the Caribbean style. Now, I don't know if this is like maybe Funtime Foxy or maybe even Lolbit, but it is certainly not the normal Foxy that we all know and love. So, who is this character? Well, I mean, we're gonna find out in the game, but it's certainly interesting, and it does confirm that this also takes place after FNAF VR, which again, ruins the 2021 theory, so damn. And today, gameplay. If you watched the second State of Play trailer for Security Breach, you may not notice this. However, on the PlayStation version of the trailer, the one uploaded to the PlayStation YouTube channel, during the first few seconds after Vanny appears on screen when we first see Chica walking by, the bottom of the screen tells us that the footage in this trailer is a mixture of gameplay and in-game cinematics, meaning that everything in this trailer is supposed to appear in-game at some point. So, this means that Monty jumping down from that swinging thing and Chica attacking us but then getting smashed is confirmed to be in the game. Hopefully. This also interestingly confirms that Vanny's little skip down the hall and then subsequent her coming out of the darkness seems to be in the game as well, which begs the question when, since that last, I guess it would seem like a jump scare doesn't really seem all that scary at all. It just seems like she's genuinely wanting us to be quiet, even if her eyes are glowing red. So why is this the case? Does she turn good and try to help us? I mean, there's only one way to find out. Steel will send us a copy. And it's 7, recharge. It appears that we'll have to be recharging most of our devices on a regular basis from the looks of things, with the station at which the flashlight recharges in the trailer, you know, before Chica gets us, and the battery level that we can see on Freddy's UI while piloting him. However, I also noticed that the flashlight recharging station looks an awful lot like the flash we used to stun Roxanne on later in that same trailer. It's the exact same design, which makes me think that maybe we can use these various charging stations as charging stations, or take them off the wall and you have like a few use stun gun that we can keep with us, which is certainly an interesting way to add choice to the game. And I'm sure both options have their pros and cons. Get out the yellow legal pad, ladies and gents, because it's time for a pros and cons list. Everyone should be cheering. Why aren't you excited? Yeah, there we go. And at 6, swinging error. I mentioned before how the appearance of Monty when he jumps off the swinging thing in the ceiling is supposed to be in the game. However, something I find interesting about that scene is that when he's actually swinging, it shouldn't physically be possible. Like, I get it, it's a game and we need to suspend our disbelief, but this game is releasing on the next generation of consoles. So what you're telling me is, like, I can see Peter Parker running around his room in the reflection of his toaster, but you can't fix a pendulum swinging through what should be solid concrete on your ceiling? Like, for a game that's hard set on its details and lore and little hints, you figured they'd pay attention to something like that. Like, there's not even a rail system or something that would realistically even let it be moving forward, let alone side to side. It's just like it's clipping through the roof. Or I guess maybe that's the point, and this entire game is a dream. That actually kind of makes sense. I don't want to deal with that though. I mean, it's probably not the case. But yeah, this is what happens, Scott. When you make all these tiny details, when you end up forgetting something, we end up thinking that it's a clue. So way to go. Can't wait to see the Reddit post about this one. Halfway through, and at number 5, weird glitch. During this same trailer, the second State of Play trailer, we get character introductions for the 4 main animatronics: Chica, Roxy, Monty, and Freddy. However, Freddy's is particularly odd. First, he's the only original character introduced with his proper name, Freddy Fazbear, unlike how Chica was introduced as Glamrock Chica, which you may just think is because she doesn't really have a last name. However, neither do Roxanne or Monty. They just have their animals. So like, why, if they want to specify Chica as a Glamrock version, did they not do the same thing with Freddy? Secondly, after Freddy's title card, we get a zoom in of the character while he's glitching out, again setting him apart from the rest. And finally, I don't know how I didn't notice this before, but when he falls down and seemingly crashes, with his integrity levels seemingly falling dangerously low, he's falling down on the stage that he's on for the trailer, not any stage where there's actually like kids in front of him. So he's not in the Mega Pizzaplex, which means that this doesn't take place in the game. It happens during that scene, as you can see from the brief glimpse we have of him falling. If these are supposed to be scenes from the game, or at least cinematics, where is this playing if it's not actually happening? Like, it would have to be like on a TV or something, I guess, but like, where is that TV and why is he falling down if it's like just a thing for the kids? And at 4, secret cameo. Okay, we already know what Gregory looks like, but we have yet to actually see him in game, right? Since the game is seemingly first person only. Wrong! Well, kind of. Since thanks to the security cameras, we actually get a very quick glimpse at Gregory's back during the scene where Monty is bashing on the security room door. At 1 minute and 7 seconds in the second gameplay trailer, we can see Gregory's shirt, shorts, and right leg in the room while he checks the security camera to see if Monty's out there. Although I feel like you would know, considering how he's bashing on the door that's right next to you. We actually only get a second of this, like literally 1 second of this scene before the camera changes and we lose Gregory. However, as we can see from the mini-map in the bottom right, it also appears that we'll only be able to access the cameras that were around unless we end up maybe using the security room. However, from the first trailer, we can actually assume that the security room doesn't have access to the cameras. I'm guessing because they're all probably cut off by Vanny, since, you know, they're all fuzzy. And at 3, multiple paths. Now this is an interesting idea to me, since from the get-go I figured that much like FNAF VR and Sister Location, that this would be a more story-driven game. However, based on their previous trailer, we seem to have a choice for how to play it. Who we currently believe is Glamrock Freddy tells us that the doors will reopen at 6 AM, a familiar time to fans of the original games, since they had us surviving until the end of our shift at 6 AM. Quote from Glamrock Freddy, "You should be able to escape when the security doors reopen at 6 AM. Until then, keep moving and try not to draw attention to yourself. If there is another way out, I will help you find it." But then we see plenty of different areas like downstairs and like secret tunnels and more. If we're only trying to survive until 6, why would we hide down there and not just stay in the security room like when Monty was banging on the door? This building seemingly doesn't have limited power. This leads me to believe that there will be multiple ways to play play. Hide and seek until 6 AM, which gives us one ending, and escaping, which will give us another, and probably the canon ending. But ultimately, in at number 2, Secret Purple. At this point, we all know that the release date for the game is going to be December 16, 2021, or if you want to go by the number of the dates, 16/12/21, because the day comes before the month because that's how everywhere in the world other than the States does it. But after going through the random flashing numbers and checking hexadecimal codes for some of them after the Freddy and Friends on Tour videos, I figured I'd check the hexadecimal for the actual release date. So opening up Photoshop, I put in the hex code 16/12/21, and it gives us what looks like black until you look at the actual color spectrum and see that it's not black, but instead a very, very dark purple. The same shade of purple that William Afton was depicted as during FNAF 2 and 3, or at least very similar to it. And I just think that's interesting, like since if they had released it when they originally wanted to, probably around sometime mid-2020, that color would have instead been blue, not purple. Even if they had released it in January of 2022, it would have been blue. I mean, it's probably not intentional, but it's certainly an interesting coincidence. And finally, in number 1, logical inconsistency. Now, I hinted at this earlier, however, there seems to be a lot of conflicting data and points in the FNAF series as a whole, yes, but also in the trailers. Like how in the trailer, Vanny seemingly tells us to come home and that it won't happen again, which is a whole other can of worms, because that suggests that Vanny is Greg's mother, but more on that another time. That line suggests that Gregory ran away to the Pizzaplex, but in recent trailers we learn that he actually gets trapped in there accidentally. And in the RTX trailer we hear Vanny say, "Gregory, it's getting late, let's get you home and put you to bed." But like I said, we know he's there late as an accident, so what's the deal here? And even in the first gameplay trailer we hear Vanessa say that she can get us out of this place, but we learn from Freddy that the doors don't open until 6. She also says we won't want to be here until 6 AM, but that's seemingly the only time we can get out of the doors. So is this hinting at the 12 AM to 6 AM classic gameplay leading to the bad ending? Perhaps. So why are the trailers contradicting themselves before the game is even released yet? No idea. Cause it's FNAF, honestly. That's a better explanation. In a 10 security room. In the shot of the security room where Gregory stands after all the cameras shut off, we see the screens flickering static as if they were unable to show video. However, a closer look actually reveals that these cameras are showing images in the static. Some contrast and brightness tinkering can reveal a slightly clearer picture, but we can't be exactly sure of what it is. To me, it looks like a really blurry version of the supply closet from FNAF 1, at least one of them does. I have a feeling that the glitches are versions of cameras from previous games, and I wouldn't put it past Scott. There are other images that are really blurry, like really low quality ultrasounds, but if you have any ideas as to what these secret images can be, let me know down below. In at 9, Vanny glitches. During the scenes focusing on the individual animatronics on the elevator, there is text that shows up between each shot. These say when fear takes hold and reality fails, the stage is set and insanity prevails. Each line of text glitches onto the screen, but within those glitches are hidden images of the antagonist of this game, none other than Vanny, the reluctant follower of William Afton. There are 2 images that are shown, one of her looking to the left and the other of her looking towards the center. The eyes that linger over these glitches also always appear above her head. Having these images be glitches on the screen obviously is a reference to Glitch Trap, and having eyes above her head is symbolic of being watched. So could Glitch Trap be watching her through these animatronics, making sure she's doing her job? They all have red eyes after all. Only time will tell. And at 8, Shadow Bonnie. During the scene where we see the first alcove containing the animatronics, we see Chica rocking on her guitar. Firstly, this appears to be the home of the animatronics while they're not working or during the night. But no matter how dumb that is from an AI perspective, there is another thing that is slightly odd about this little room. There seems to be some form of microphone or perhaps some other electronic attached to her desk that, while having a light directly on it, is still pitch black. It is also in the rough shape of Shadow Bonnie as they appeared in FNAF 2. It's not perfect, but it's still noticeable if you're looking for it. This could be a coincidence or a nice nod to a character that will be appearing in this game, like how Scott made Chica's party world for sister location. And it's 7, Cupcake. Also in front of that same alcove, we can see a few frames of Chica's famous Cupcake in a display case, almost like it's a museum, or perhaps a memoriam to the old design of Chica that they had to abandon for this establishment, or because the fans love the Cupcake and would be furious if it wasn't here in some capacity. There looks to be a plaque on the front of the display as well, indicating that maybe it's a bit of a showcase for the cupcakes and perhaps its history with the character of Chica. Maybe the Fazbear Entertainment Company is trying to push sugary foods less, or maybe they just want to get rid of the cupcake since it was involved with a version of Chica that was possessed by the soul of a child after Afton offered them more pizza. Maybe this whole area is dedicated to ensuring the reign of Afton never comes back. Good luck with that. Someone didn't listen to him when he says he always comes back, and obviously someone didn't look at the final shot of that trailer. And at 6, the eyes. There is a scene where we are running through maybe what can be thought of as a maintenance tunnel probably below the Pizzaplex. We don't know if anything is chasing us, but we can guess so since this shows over the line they won't stop hunting you, none of them will stop hunting you, suggesting that we are in fact being chased. Now at the very beginning of the scene to the left of the screen, on the very edge we see some lights. However, as our character runs, the fence or railing beside us cuts that light into 2 separate dots, very reminiscent of the eyes of good old Golden Freddy, the one who will not rest torturing Afton's soul in hell. While this may just be a coincidence, we know Scott doesn't do that sort of thing. There were probably multiple shots of this scene and he would have chosen this one because of that tiny detail. That may have been a mistake, but now I can't unsee it. Halfway through at number 5, design change. This is something I didn't notice until I went into the comments of that trailer. In the summer of 2020, Funko leaked the designs of the action figures for Security Breach, thus leaking the designs of the animatronics. People were pissed about this, obviously, since Scott had specifically told Funko not to release anything. What is it with Funko and leaks? Anyway, the designs of the characters from the gameplay trailer are actually slightly different to those of the action figures that were released. This is most notable on Roxanne's clothes, where Scott moved the black star shapes, and on Monty's guitar, where he removed or made the black stripes smaller. At least from what I can see. Chica's guitar is also a lighter blue and mostly white, as opposed to white and a darker blue from the original action figure. And the animatronics in the trailer are properly proportioned. The action figure heads just weird me out. Like, the pop figures are fine because it's meant to be that way, it makes sense, but the action figures, it's weird. And at 4, Balora's theme. Over the footage of us being shown the individual animatronics of Chica, Roxanne, and Monty, we hear some music that would potentially be triggering to fans who played Sister Location. Here's the clip. This is very reminiscent of Balora's theme from Sister Location, not the song she sings, but rather her theme music that has no lyrics. This is more of a remix version of the song instead of the original, but it could be a hint at something much more. Like Vanny says at the end of the trailer, there is more going on here than you realize. It then cuts to something else, and that makes us think that that's what's going on, that's more, but we realize that. So what if this truly means this could be in the introduction of William Afton's wife? Balora is used as an allegory for his wife, not being possessed, Balora isn't possessed, but just as a mother figure to the mini-Renas and even kind of Baby if you look at it that way. And if you do, the connection only grows since Baby is possessed by Elizabeth Afton, William's daughter, or was. We don't know what happened to his wife, she has no official name. Some think she died naturally and that drove him to killing, some think William killed her, others think she ran away after learning about what William does. Maybe we will learn more about her in this game. Maybe she is indeed the security guard. Maybe her name is Vanessa. Maybe it's just because that music is creepy. Who knows? Getting close to the end in number 3, staff only. Near the end of the trailer, before the Security Breach logo, we see Vanny pop out from behind a door labeled staff only, indicating that she is a staff member. But why is staff an acronym? The term staff is used in many different ways, as a plural noun, adjective, and even a verb. But none of those uses use the term like an acronym. In fact, when I searched for the acronym, even with quotation marks, nothing came up. So this is definitely something odd. What could this acronym stand for? And is there actually a meaning behind it, or is Scott just giving us a red herring? Let me know your theories down below. Penultimately, in at number 2, purple. The color purple is everywhere in this trailer, no doubt a connection to the purple guy himself, William Afton. The trailer starts off with him speaking, and then he is present throughout the whole trailer. There is purple in nearly every shot, and if there isn't, it's a color that makes purple, blue or red. Plenty of the neon lights are purple. Purple is a common secondary color throughout the Pizzaplex. Even the logo that shines on the wall is purple. Chica's playpen has plenty of purple. The Pizzaplex alcoves have purple. Chica's guitar is purple. Roxanne's leg warmers are either a dark purple or blue, but she's also wearing a red shirt. Monty's gloves and shoes are purple. The only animatronic that doesn't seem to have purple on them is Freddy. Maybe this indicates that he isn't under Afton's control. Everything in this trailer for the most part is related to the color purple. The logo is red and the text is glowing blue. Not to mention the ending with, finally, and at number 1, the arm. The final shot of this trailer is clearly a reference to William Afton. I know you noticed that, but what you might have missed, however, is the reflecting purple light that we can see in the reflection of his arm, throwing any theory that this is the Stitch Wraith out the window. At least, maybe. The arm also appears to have been melted at some point, or has had something melted onto it, like flesh perhaps, or the remains of a suit that caught fire after being lured there by your son and your former business partner.